Sheryl Swoopes, this is kind of what you get for kind of not jumping on the tide, jumping on the boat. You were supposed to go and elevate with this whole situation. Your broadcasting career, everything, Sheryl. Your podcasting, whatever you do, you're supposed to be elevating. But instead, you decided to show hate, very clear hate towards Caitlin Clark. Very clear hate. Right? And now this is kind of like what you get for it.
Did you truly believe that you could continue to work as a broadcaster while lying about Caitlin Clark for a whole year? There was no need for anyone to ask that inquiry, since we just received our response, Sheryl Swoopes. For the 2025 season, she has been formally removed from all WNBA broadcasts.
Fired, but it looked like you got fired, bro. It looked like she got fired. I just got to keep it real. It looked like she got fired.
One poor decision or one mistake isn't the only reason for the dismissal. The league ultimately determined enough was enough after a well-planned campaign against the WNBA's newest star culminated in this. Are you curious in what actually transpired behind the scenes? We'll go into what happened, how she's handling the harm, and why she ultimately lost her job in this video. Are you prepared? Come on, let's go.
I won't be missing you broadcasting the games, because when you broadcasted the games, it was so hard for you to mention Caitlin Clark. How are you up there talking about, you kept mentioning, oh, the Indiana Fever are doing this. Oh, Kelsey Mitchell and the Indiana Fever. Oh, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and those girls are doing. Oh, you had such the hardest time mentioning Caitlin Clark's name. Why? I don't get it. I really don't know.
Were you aware that Sheryl Swoopes has a history of losing her job? Prior to her most recent broadcasting incident, Swoopes has a concerning history that dates back many years. Although she received well-deserved recognition for being one of the WNBA's original stars during her Hall of Fame playing career, her post-play career shows a persistent pattern of negative behavior.
Loyola University basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
College coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
The warning indicators at Chicago's Loyola University were overwhelming. After a huge player departure in July 2016, Swoopes was fired as head coach, which should have sent a warning to anyone thinking about hiring her again. In a single season, which coach loses 10 of the 12 returning players? That turnover isn't typical. Your program has a 5-alarm fire.
She mistreated players.
It was the environment she had created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
A former player for Loyola, Kate Sohn, spoke candidly about Swoopes' coaching prowess. You're not necessarily a terrific coach just because you're a great player. Drama appears to be her thing. The drama is everywhere she goes. According to other players, there was an emotionally unstable atmosphere where Swoopes would cry throughout practices and games, threaten scholarships, and improperly divulge personal information. Great athletes don't always make excellent mentors, and Swoopes is a classic example of this discrepancy.
Former Loyola basketball player Kate Sohn says Swoopes caused the players to live in fear, that she routinely threatened that they would lose their scholarships or she would cut them from the team.
It made it hard to play. It wasn't about working hard and having fun anymore. It was about surviving.
The case of Lauren Hibbert is very noteworthy. Hibbert claims that Swoopes coerced her into signing a medical hardship form, thereby ending her athletic career, while making untrue claims that she would continue to manage the squad. The betrayal was complete when Hibbert subsequently learned that she wouldn't even accompany the squad on their trip. Formal complaints were brought about by this deception, which finally led to Swoopes' termination. In 2024, we observed the same contemptuous, unhelpful conduct. In reference to Caitlin Clark, when Swoopes made her now famous appearance on Gil's Arena in February, she was unable to even clarify simple facts. She stated that Clark was in her 4th season of college, not her 5th, and that she took 40 shots each game, which was completely untrue given that Clark averaged 22.7. These were not careless errors, but rather appeared to be intended to downplay Clark's accomplishments.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Swoopes' contemptuous remarks about Clark's performances that shattered records, such as, "So is it truly a broken record? I don't know, I don't think so," were even more striking. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Swoopes asked when asked about Clark's WNBA prospects. Not at all. Not going to occur. It was impossible to overlook the disdain.
Ask me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
These weren't individual events. Rather, they were a part of a year-long campaign that gave more insight into Swoopes than Clark. The pattern is evident. Swoopes reacts angrily rather than supportively when people succeed or challenge her power. Whether a budding star breaks records or college players transfer en masse, Swoopes seems unable to celebrate other people's accomplishments without feeling intimidated. At the Dallas Wings, this toxic trend finally caught up with her, and her remarks got too contentious even for a league that usually supports its icons. The recurring themes that link her broadcasting removal and Loyola firing suggest that she has never learned to adjust or mature in the face of criticism. What actually transpired with Dallas last year then?
And then obviously you guys remember last year when Dallas had to pretty much say, hey, you can't broadcast Indiana Fever game after the little comments and things you had the game before. Or something like that. Yeah, I believe it was that. And Nancy Lieberman was the one who pretty much confronted Sheryl Swoopes about the whole situation and let her know, like, hey, we got to keep it this, we got to keep it that. Keep it about basketball.
Caitlin Clark wasn't the only person involved in the Wings broadcast scandal. It was about Swoopes creating opponents everywhere. You can tell something extraordinary is going on behind the scenes when basketball royalty begins publicly criticizing one of their own. That's precisely what transpired when Swoopes was targeted by two of the most significant voices in basketball, Nancy Lieberman and Stephen A. Smith.
You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it.
Stephen A. Smith was never one to keep his thoughts to himself. Not only did he disagree with Swoopes, but he also undermined her credibility on national TV. Smith questioned Swoopes' reasons for continuously ignoring Clark's contributions to the Indiana Fever's success in one especially caustic piece, asking, "Do you have any idea how that makes you look?" With every syllable, Smith's voice rose in challenge. How are you going to ignore Caitlin Clark? Smith's large platform wasn't the only thing that made his rebuke so harmful. He also pointed out that Swoopes' quiet over Clark was purposeful and unprofessional, especially given her basketball experience, which should have made Clark's impact impossible to ignore.
Sheryl, since she was in college, I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that there was this quote by Sheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, however old, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate.
However, arguing with Stephen A. was only the start of Swoopes' career collapse. Swoopes' former friend and television colleague Nancy Lieberman went one step farther. Lieberman allegedly called Swoopes directly to confront her about the falsehoods in her remarks after hearing her remarks regarding Clark. Clearly, that talk did not go well, so badly that Lieberman would subsequently affirm that their relationship was essentially terminated as a consequence. The consequences were immediate and humiliating, in a turn of events that couldn't have been planned more shamefully. In the end, Lieberman took Swoopes' place on the Dallas Wings broadcast. This was more than just a change in staff. It was a declaration made in public regarding who was regarded as credible in basketball circles. Swoopes' professional decline was demonstrated by Lieberman's readiness to confront her and then really take her position.
That's what Nancy was all about. She was keeping it very, hey, let's bring this women's game let's bring it all together. Let's grow this thing together. And the question was talking about how older people or older players in the league pretty much should going about what's going on in the league. And Nancy knows Caitlin Clark is the biggest. She's got the eyes. She's got the fans. Let's not try to sink it. Let's try to get on the boat with her. And let's grow the game.
These well-publicized disputes did more than harm Swoopes' standing with supporters. When individuals like Smith and Lieberman openly cast doubt on your moral character, networks and organizations pay attention. For the Dallas Wings and their broadcast partner, these feuds probably validated what viewers had already said. Swoopes had turned into a liability rather than an asset to their brand. How will all of this baggage affect the 2025 season Swoopes?
See, they ain't got Sheryl no more. Sheryl's gone. Sheryl's gone. Nancy still got her job, though. Nancy still got her job. They got Sheryl built. They got Sheryl built. See? Sheryl was there last year. She ain't there no more.
That liability evaluation proved to be the last straw for Swoopes' broadcasting career. However, it's not just that she was kicked out of Fever games. That's shocking. She was completely removed from the Wings broadcast lineup for 2025. Swoopes is conspicuously missing from the Dallas Wings statement announcing their 2025 squad.
It looks like the Dallas Wings have left off Mrs. Sheryl Swoopes on the broadcasting team for the 2025 season. If you guys remember, Sheryl Swoopes, she was on the broadcasting team last year, right?
This went beyond only keeping Caitlin Clark safe. The goal was to safeguard the Wings' reputation and audience experience. Swoopes' exclusion from all games, not just hot matchups, indicates that the organization identified a serious flaw in her broadcasting style that went beyond a particular player rivalry. With women's basketball viewership continuing to grow, her constant hostility and factual inaccuracies had turned from a mere annoyance into a real business liability. Perhaps the most revealing aspect of this story is what transpired next. After a year of controversy and criticism, Swoopes suddenly made an appearance on ESPN to praise the player she had been criticizing for months. She exclaimed, "This Indiana Fever team, they have put the pieces together in this off-season, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do," and mentioned how much stronger Caitlin got in the off-season.
The team that I feel made the biggest moves, maybe even the best moves, that would be the Indiana Fever. I think the Indiana Fever went from just being in the playoffs last season to potentially winning a championship. How much stronger Caitlin got in the offseason. You know, she was in the gym working on her game. This Indiana Fever team, they have put the pieces together in this offseason, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
For a brief moment, fans weren't buying this abrupt reversal. Social media erupted in derision and mistrust. ESPNW's post received a variety of comments, ranging from, "Oh, how she is changing her tune now?" to, "Is Swoopes okay?" She complimented Double C rather than attacking with a lie. Some were more straightforward. She acknowledges her failure, and I can't even begin to think how many months of treatment it took her to be able to utter Caitlin's name without frowning.
I kept on saying it. I said, Sheryl Swoopes, you are going to find yourself out of the media so fast by how you're, by how you're moving, how you're talking on other players, talking on other people's podcasts.
Even Stephen A. Smith was compelled to criticize Swoopes' abrupt conversion, pointing out that her prior quiet regarding Clark's abilities appeared to be extremely personal. She fails to realize that when she fails to mention the obvious, it will be considered that it is a personal matter, because we are aware that you are too knowledgeable with basketball to overlook the kinds of stuff she is disregarding regarding Caitlin Clark. In front of our eyes, the same Indiana Fever that Swoopes criticized for a whole year has turned into a serious challenger for the championship. Clark's 5-game victory streak in the latter part of the season, when she started to settle into a groove, was only the beginning. Basketball fans worldwide are paying attention as the main course is being served in 2025. Analysts currently rank them as the league's third-best team.
Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
Perhaps the most striking roster change in recent WNBA history has been masterminded by Indiana's executive staff. Not only are the acquisitions of two-time champion Dana Bonner and three-time champion Natasha Howard wise choices. These are the kind of tactical chess pieces that turn a team from a postseason contender into a serious contender for the championship. With an average of 15 points, Bonner is still a force at age 36. In 40 games, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.2 blocks the previous year with Connecticut. As a past Defensive Player of the Year, Howard provides defensive greatness that nicely complements the youthful core of the Fever. Not to be overlooked is Sophie Cunningham. Brianna Turner and Sydney Colson complete a strong bench. These veteran acquisitions are so excellent because of how well they mesh with Clark Boston Mitchell and Hull. The young talent base of the Fever required precisely what Howard and Bonner offer: defensive adaptability, championship experience, and the leadership that only comes with having played in high-pressure postseason settings. There is now the ideal mix of youth and experience on this roster. In the same way that winning teams like the 2022 Aces combine young talent with seasoned knowledge,
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT!
She signed my jersey! So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these people that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
The rest of the league should be terrified by Clark's trend going into year 2. Remember those final 13 games in 2024 when the Fever went 8-5? It wasn't a coincidence. Clark was at last getting used to the professional game. We're probably only beginning to see what she can achieve at the professional level because she has an entire off-season to strengthen and improve her skills. Swoopes herself was no longer able to resist the Fever's potential, recently saying, "The team I feel made the biggest moves, maybe even the best moves, that would be the Indiana Fever." The Indiana Fever, in my opinion, moved from making the playoffs the previous season to perhaps taking home a title. I can't wait to see what they will do. You know, something unique is happening when your most critical person starts praising you out of the blue.
And the OG Dewana Bonner, who plays both ends of the floor, who's a competitor, Natasha Howard, who's another OG, who's going to bring the defensive presence, and then you're bringing back Aaliyah Boston, who continues to get better every single year. Can we talk about Kelsey Mitchell, who is just a walking bucket?
Indiana's window for the championship isn't simply opening, it is being flung openly. With Boston's internal dominance encircling Clark Hall's tenacity, Mitchell's scoring punch, and now the new free agent signings winning DNA, the contrast is apparent because the Fever have assembled a group capable of competing with any team in the league. The Indiana Fever are creating something genuine and possibly historic, while Swoopes is frantically attempting to save her broadcasting career with open damage control. While she watches from home, the same player and team that Swoopes spent a year attempting to destroy might well be raising a trophy.
He went from the locker room is in shambles, players want to leave, it's a toxic environment, nobody wants to be there, the fans are terrible, to, I don't know, I wasn't even in the locker room, to the OGs that they brought in, the OGs that said, I want to come play over there.
The events behind Swoopes' termination go beyond simple workplace drama. The WNBA is making a declaration regarding its future. As Nancy Lieberman so eloquently stated, we ought to welcome those who elevate us. For the first time, the league is putting accuracy and expansion ahead of defending icons whose behavior damages the sport's reputation. The basketball world has moved on, and Swoopes is panicking over her abrupt acclaim of Clark and the Fever. The WNBA's extraordinary expansion necessitates voices that elevate rather than denigrate its up-and-coming talent. True basketball superstars are ultimately judged not only by their accomplishments on the floor, but also by the way they inspire the following generation. Swoopes has obviously never understood this. Comment here with your thoughts on Swoopes' termination. Like, subscribe, and enable all alerts to ensure you don't miss anything. We shall see you in the following video after you click the one on the screen.